Hello everybody, Toastbomb here, bringing you something I've been waiting a long time to see, and that is more Halo 4 Forge footage. Now, we got teased with some of the footage back at the RTX event, but we only got to see one map, and they told us that there was going to be 4 separate Forge maps, all with their own unique style and aesthetics. But the coolest part about each map is that it has its own forge pieces that are also unique and have their own unique aesthetic. So this is going to help maps have a consistent variety in aesthetics and color that we couldn't get previously in Halo Reach. Now right here we get to see a glimpse of all 4 forge maps. In the top right we get to see this new cave environment that has these stalagmites coming out of the ground and these stalactites coming out of the ceiling. It looks really cool. The bottom left is the one we saw from RTX, and the bottom right is this other area that looks very similar to the one at RTX, but maybe it looks like it has a lot more open ocean area than the RTX one does. So you can see what he's doing now. He's putting his cursor over stuff, and it's highlighting. Now this is huge. I don't know if you've ever tried to have a whole bunch of stuff mashed into one little area, and you're trying to move one thing, but you can't tell what you're clicking on. This will fix that issue and negate any of the guess and check work that you had to do in the previous games. Here we get to see a better view of the new cave environment for the Forge mode. It seems to have much more browns in its color palette, and also looks like it's more made out of concrete than metal, and has a much more dirty, dingy feel than the other environments. And then back there you got to see the other new map that seems to be much more focusing on just the open ocean environment. It did seem to have one little island over there that seemed to be kinda similar to the Halo Reach Forge World Spire, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of other geometry like that. Much more open space. Here he's showing off the duplicating feature. Now this is massive. Any of you guys who've tried to build a racetrack, tried to build a floor out of smaller things, where you just want something that is tileable and is just going to be the same thing over and over and over and over again. And you have to keep going back in the menu selecting and keep going back to the menu selecting. With this, press of one D-pad direction and boom, you got that object again. Then he turns on the magnets, and these are even bigger. These are a massive deal to forge. So if you've ever tried to go into the coordinate system, line something up, it doesn't quite line up right, so you have to do it by hand and the seam just isn't quite there. Now there are magnets where the objects will automatically snap to each other and align perfectly. So if you're trying to make a walkway and it's just not looking right, turn on the magnets and boom, in under a second you got a perfectly lined up walkway. And then another thing you may notice is when you do mouse over something and it highlights, it says its name. Now this is also great just for learning names of objects. There's a lot of times where I'm going into the Forge mode and I know I want something, but I don't remember the name of it, and I spend like 5 minutes trying to figure out what the heck it was going down the list of stuff. This will help me memorize what the objects are actually called and negate any of that guess and check work. Then he goes into the ordnance menu. Now here we see initial ordnance, which is just going to be drops at the beginning of the match. Then we see random ordnance, which will be the random ordnance that spawns around the map. You don't really have much control over it. Maybe you'll be able to control time intervals, but I'm not sure about that. And then objective ordnance, which seems to be, from what he explained, something where, like, say you get 5 kills, there could be ordnance drop. You cap a flag, ordnance drop. Or you could possibly even tune it so that every 2 minutes there could be an ordnance drop, so you could make it similar to how the previous games were, where every 2 minutes a weapon spawns or something like that. Here he is in a gravity volume. Now this is another new feature to the Halo 4 Forge mode that is also massive. It affects vehicles and players, so you can change the gravity, you can make it heavier, you can make it lighter. So previously you weren't able to make a space area like you could in some of the Halo Reach maps, where you go out in this one room and it's like 0 gravity. You could simulate this with custom game settings, but then the entire map is like 0 gravity, and that's not what you're going for. This, you'll be able to make separate rooms, different gravities, and there could be some awesome potential for maps and racetracks. They also said that you can stack these things and they will multiply the effect. So if you have half the gravity and you put 2 of them, you'll have a quarter of the gravity. That's pretty awesome. So you could do a lot of things, and they're very tactile. Here he shows off the new locking feature in the Forge mode. Now this is really cool because a lot of times you don't want something to move. You want it to stay there, you don't want it deleted, you don't want to accidentally move it, which happens sometimes. You have a lot of stuff going on in a map at one time. Sometimes you accidentally move something that was in the perfect spot and you can't get it back there, and that's really frustrating. With this, you'll be able to place it, lock it, and you can't delete it or move it until you unlock it with a D-pad press, so you're not going to accidentally move this thing. Here he shows how you can delete by pallet. Now this is a really useful thing because sometimes in Halo Reach you had a whole lot of stuff on the map and you want to delete a specific thing, and you could delete by all of these types, but sometimes you have a lot of boxes and you want to delete all the boxes. But there's many different types of boxes and you don't want to go through and find all those. So with this you'll just be able to say, boom, all boxes gone. And then you don't have to worry about those stupid boxes on your map anymore. Now there's also a new nuking feature that he's about to show off in Halo 4. So it just deletes every forge piece on your map if you just want to start from scratch, or if you're loading up a map and you don't want any weapons, any spawn points, any of that stuff, all of it will explode and be gone and nuked and wipe off the face of the planet. But you can turn some of these pieces into cockroaches by locking them so they won't get affected by the nuclear explosion. They'll be fine sitting around and they'll still be there. So that'll be useful if you have a base map where it's just like a box or something like that that you want to use for multiple maps, but you don't want to save that as a separate map, and you lock all that stuff, all the sides and walls, and then you nuke everything out. Everything in the map will be gone, but your box, your base palette will still be there. Now you're taking a look at one of the maps that they actually said is going to be on the disc for people to experiment with and see how the Forge mode actually works. So this map, as you can see, looks really awesome with the new dynamic lighting that is in Halo 4. If you didn't know, in the previous games, if you placed a box, it wouldn't actually cast a shadow onto the environment or take any other lighting elements from anything. Depending upon where it was placed in the world, it would just be slightly lighter or slightly darker, but it wouldn't actually cast shadows. Now they do that, so when you go into your Forge mode and you're editing objects, you won't see it initially, but when you go into the player mode, it'll load up this menu and it'll say generating light maps, and then boom, all your shadows will look there and the map will look much better. So all those dark areas, those shadowed areas you see on it right now wouldn't be there in Reach, but they are in this game, and it looks a ton better. So right here he's about to show off player trait zones. Now these are kind of similar to the gravity volumes that we saw from before, but they actually allow you to do a lot more. They allow you to change things like your weapon damage, weapon resistance, shield multiplier, basically anything that you'll find in the player traits section in your custom game settings, you can switch on here. So you go in there, you can disable weapons, disable headshot, you can make your player immune, super weak, have no fall damage, have no gravity, speed up, slow down. So just an absolute massive amount of stuff you can do with these new player trait settings. The thing I'm really looking forward to though is the saw maps in Halo 4, because the ones in Halo 3 and Halo Reach could be pretty brutal, but with these crazy things going on, I can't even imagine the puzzles that people are going to come up with. Anyways, that'll do it for this video. If you like the video, you can leave a like or a comment, or you can subscribe because I post new Halo videos every day. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. Bye.